I recently reviewed Samsung's Galaxy S20 FE in 2022 and I rather enjoyed it. So can I say the same for its predecessor, the Galaxy S10 Lite? How is it different? Is it better in some ways? Worse in others? And crucially, should you even buy it? Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas and thanks to Vodafone for sending out this product sample. Today, here's my review of the Galaxy S10 Lite in 2022. For around £200, that's the same price on the used market as the S20 FE, you're getting quite the phone for your money, though not nearly as new as the S20 FE. You're getting a similar phone that compromises in different areas. It has a bigger 6.7-inch screen, but that lacks a high refresh rate. You still get a Snapdragon processor, but it's the 855, not the 865. You get a high resolution main camera at the cost of the telephoto, and battery, software, and all that other stuff is roughly the same. However, there are many ways, specifically in the hardware, where I found the S10 Lite to actually feel like a more premium phone than the S20 FE. It has a seemingly nicer design with thinner bezels, it feels more premium, and it also has stuff like crisper haptics, for example, and 45-watt charging over the 25-watt found in the newer model. It definitely looks good in 2022 from the front, though it doesn't feel quite as premium as the full-fat versions due to the plastic back. I quite like the plastic back, though it's not going to be for everyone, and obviously for those of you who usually put a case on a smartphone, maybe that would be a bit redundant with a phone like this, I don't know. What I do have to say though is that this smartphone feels huge, whether you're coming from a mini, iPhone mini, or maybe an iPhone 12 or 13, or Galaxy S22. This thing just feels really big, and even with the thin bezels, it still feels quite cumbersome in the hand. If you've got really big hands, maybe this phone is for you. That big screen is great for watching TV, films or YouTube videos. It gets plenty bright and I never found the 60Hz refresh rate to be a hindrance in anything that I was doing on this phone. That includes playing games, which is more enjoyable with this Snapdragon chipset than the equivalent Exynos model. The graphics performance, being a few generations old, isn't amazing, but it's more than enough for casual mobile gamers. And yes, we get that Snapdragon variant in the UK and Europe. The same goes for everyday performance. The S10 Lite might be starting to show its age at this point, but it's really not as bad as you'd expect. You might experience the slightest hiccup here and there, but actually the 60Hz refresh rate screen makes these hiccups feel less jarring as they're not interrupting a buttery smooth animation. For those of you just looking for a smartphone to go about your day-to-day social media, applications, all that kind of thing, this might be the phone for you. And the same can be said for the 4500 mAh battery. It lasted me a full day, ending the day with around 35% to 40% battery left at around 10 PM. Now, I'm not the heaviest of users of my smartphone, a couple of hours of screen on time, brightness is, I don't know, mid to high I would say, a lot of sort of Wi-Fi with a little bit of streaming over Bluetooth and to my earphones of course, but it's mostly sort of basic stuff. If you were gaming on the phone all day, of course expect to have to top it up halfway through the day, but for someone who's just going to use their phone for basic social media, take a couple of photos, maybe watch a YouTube video, you've got an all-day battery life there, which is great. And that is likely helped by One UI 4 on Android 12 on their S10 Lite. It runs really smooth, just as smooth as it does really on the S20 FE. Feels and looks great, however I would expect to only get one more year of software support as opposed to the 2 that I would find on the S20 FE just because of the generational difference. So this might not be a phone that's going to last you years and years, although alternatively if you don't really care about security patches and other software trickery in its updates, then this could last you a long time. It really does depend on how you hinge your buying off of how long the software support is. I mean, this has already had 2 platform upgrades. As I mentioned earlier, the S10 Lite boasts a 48 megapixel main camera, flanked by a 12 megapixel ultra-wide and 5 megapixel macro camera with a 32 megapixel selfie shooter just to round things up. The setup itself is pretty decent, but Samsung software processing elevates things with its sharp, punchy profile. It's definitely not the most accurate profile going, but it definitely improves the wow factor of every shot you take, and that's what I quite like about it. There's a heavy fall off between the main and secondary camera in terms of quality, and I personally wouldn't bother at all with the macro camera. As a whole, it's just kind of a meh camera. Overall, a decent setup, don't get me wrong, take some decent photos and give it good light, it'll take great photos. With that 48 megapixel sensor, there's quite a bit of sharpness as well, but I was more impressed with the S20 FE, and that's likely due to the fact that the photo sites were bigger because the resolution of the main camera is smaller. And that's where things get a little bit tricky when reviewing the S10 Lite, because the S20 FE is the same price on the second-hand market for the same storage configuration and that kind of thing. And with a 1 generation newer processor, significantly faster one, better camera setup, and another year, maybe year and a half of software updates, you kind of have to go with the S20 FE. If you really want the more premium feeling smartphone, I would say the S10 Lite is the way to go, but in every other aspect, the S20 FE just makes more sense. So if you've got an S10 Lite and you feel like you need to upgrade to the S20 FE, maybe don't, maybe just wait for the next one or whatever. I don't think you need to jump from the S10 Lite to the S20 FE. It doesn't make a big enough difference. However, if you were considering an S10 Lite and you can get one really cheap, maybe £100, probably worth it, I would say, in my opinion. And then if you're looking at getting between the S10 Lite and the S20 FE, go with the S20 FE. It's the better all-round smartphone, though it might not feel as premium. And with that, I want to thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank Vodafone for sending out the S10 Lite. It was great to have a look at one of these. I'd never really looked at the step-down models of the S flagships before, and between this and the S20 FE, I've definitely got a better picture of what those things are like. I want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for being continually supportive, so thank you so much, guys. Also, please do like, comment and subscribe if you're new around here to never miss a video like this one. Check out all the links to Vodafone and my social media in the video description. I've been Ryan Thomas. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Peace.